So I thought I'd come to my video and record me making a few statements. I have to recall some moments in my past real quick. Some years ago, I'm 34 years old now, but this has to be like around when I was about 18, perhaps maybe 19. I had met someone whom was an escort and was also a member of the ballroom community, the LGBT community, a subset of the LGBT community. And while I participated in the LGBT community that is the ballroom scene for a while, I also was introduced to the line of work that was escorting and began to do some of that myself. Along with that, I had journeyed to Cleveland, Ohio once, and I met this guy who is now my ex boyfriend. I won't say his name though. He's a really great guy. He's very sweet and very, very attractive, very handsome, very smart and loving. And it strikes me today though, thinking about myself, my health, my wellness, thinking about my community, thinking about all I have done to be a good person, all I have done to be a good friend, all I have done to be a good man in a community of communities that never seem to fade away themselves, but people do inside of them. People go missing, more often than not. Sometimes people are pulled away from things that they love doing, things that they participate in or with, uh, not necessarily as a means of being busy elsewhere, but it's because of one's interest. It's because of one's involvement. It's because of one's participation that they now have become somewhat of a let's just say a bright light, for lack of better words, in the places in which they are, be it the LGBT community or the ballroom scene which is there, or may it be in the educational field, may it be some actual employment opportunities, some jobs out there, may it be anywhere else, in life, and someone will have a light that shines and radiates, as bright and or as strong as it would, and nobody seems to be attracted to them in a way in which would pull them away from what they're doing because um, of their strength or their their value. But moving on anyway, um, I'm getting to the point where what I'm talking about is this. I was about 19 years old, 18 or 19 years old when I contracted, not contracted, excuse me, I'm sorry. When well, I think the word is contracted, but I don't want to say contracted. I guess that's a wrong word. That's the bad word to use. Where I had basically been penetrated by someone whom uh, passed to me the HIV virus. Now, the HIV virus, as some of you would know, that it is one of the most contagious viruses there are. Okay, um, but it means the HIV virus. It stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. In parentheses, it's called AIDS. Um, it's a chronic, potentially life-threatening condition caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. By damaging the immune system, HIV interferes with the body's abilities to fight infection and disease. So, with that also, it says that HIV is a sexually transmitted infection, in other words, an STI, and it can also be spread by contact with infected blood and from illicit injection, drug use, or sharing needles. It can also be spread from mother to child during pregnancy, childbirth, or breastfeeding. Now, um, with that said, I began to live my life as normal as I can. I have taken medicines over the years, some different medicines or whatnot. One pill a day is most common these days. And lucky for me, when I was past the HIV virus and became infected, I only had to take one pill a day. Then. Now, I know this might sound strange, right? But I wanted to see what else HIV would stand for. Now, it says human. It says here on Google that HIV stands for human immuno deficiency virus. Now, let's break this down a little bit. Human is one word, right? Immunodeficiency sounds like it's about 3 words in one. So, what I'm going to do is immunodeficiency is spelled IMMUNODEFICINCY. So, here after IMMUN, I'm going to put a hyphen. After the O, I'm going to put another hyphen. So it's IMMUN hyphen O hyphen deficiency. Now, and then virus. So if I look at this carefully, I'm gonna put my phone down here for a moment. If I look at this carefully, it's very possible that the immunodeficiency, although is as like one word, is immune and then deficiency, it looks like to me that the center of this word, there's a prefix, there's a suffix, and then there's a root. It looks like to me that excuse me, I'm sorry, I had to write prefix, root, and suffix. It looks like to me that the middle word is no, or it could be like no could stand for knowledge. No could also be an answer as for how much knowledge is sufficient, if how much knowledge is present, if any knowledge is present. So the passing on such a disease and infecting someone is probably based upon a person not having any knowledge about the condition of a disease, much less their body, their immune system, more specifically. So I am, if I put a hyphen there, or an accent mark, it'll read I'm. It'll read I am, as if I am, but no A. So I'm, and then MUN. So MUN stands for immune, like immune, immune. It looks like if I go back, it says I'm immune, right? So when you say you're immune, you are not susceptible to being sickened by a virus of this sort. But because it says it doesn't have immune, meaning not munable or municable, but instead is immune, meaning that you're perfect in whatever condition, whatever status you could be in, to be passed along a virus um, as as infectious as it is, and you could be sickened by this, um, whether or not you thought you did all you did or could do to be on the healthier side of things, right? So it's I'm, and then it has mune, okay? And it means I am municable. And then here, it also has O in the middle. So O could mean, uh, O is like origin, or O could be oxygen. O could be oxygen, right? And O could also be open. O could be open. Okay. And O could also be on or off. So I'm just thinking of some things here. Now, deficiency here deficiency, I'm gonna look this up real quick. Deficiency is a lack or shortage of something. It means there's a lack or a shortage of something. So what's interesting here is that if I look at this, like, in my mind, I see the immune system as being a like a huge traffic network, right? It's a traffic network consisting of veins in our bodies, our neurological receptors and pathways in our brain, and our skin cells, and in our in its many layers of our skin, the organs in our bodies, and the veins that connects them, the oxygen, being one component that flows through our veins and our blood, and there's medicines, there's vitamins, there's minerals, and salts and sugars, and fats and things. But there's also, we have blood cells. So we have red blood cells and we have white blood cells. The red blood cells are the blood cells that carry oxygen throughout our body. Oxygen, nutrients, and the good stuff. That makes them red and beautiful and not tasty. I was going to say tasty because I like apples and I like cherry candies and stuff. Or so it would almost be like taste worthy in my mind somewhere. It's connecting to this point, but it's not. Blood isn't tasty. It's nasty. It's actually really nasty. It's comprised of a lot of different things. It's in other words called hemoglobin. It's actually it's like helium and hydrogen uh filled blood cells. So it's not the best tasting thing to taste. Anyway, though, um with this network and all of its components, um for your body to be deficient, which wouldn't make any sense. Your body is not born to be deficient of anything. Not in this earth, not on this earth rather. Everything here on this earth is made for man to consume. If not consume, it's made for him to embrace. If not embrace, it's made for him um um absorb, and or to exchange, to organize perhaps, and maybe some other things too. However, so my point is, uh male humans here on this earth, as perfect as they are, as beautiful as they are, as strong as they are, as intelligent as they are, as very, very strong beings, okay? Their immune systems are made to fight infections. They're made to fight viruses. They're made to fight sicknesses, illnesses of any kind. Actually, it doesn't matter what it is. Um, their bodies are made to fight them. If they were ever to come in contact with something that is less healthy, something that is less capable of being supportive of itself without contacting our bodies, then they are considered deficient, but not us. The moment we are contacted or touched or reached by a a um a pathogen, because they're almost always pathogens. Sometimes they are cells that mimic other cells, much like red blood cells or eukaryotic cells, and they do this by wanting to have a reason to connect to our body parts, and anywhere they can. Our brain, our mucous membranes, our tongues, our salivas, our throats, our fat cells, our skin cells. Within our bloodstream, we have our blood cells. And so once we're contacted, once our bloodstream is reached, once our immune system has been, as they would say, compromised, meaning breached, if our immune system somehow could not keep out an infection of a certain kind, then we would start to lose red blood cells or white blood cells. See, white blood cells are the product of let's just say sterilizing our blood. So our red blood cells flow through our veins all day long. They're the most active, let's just say, right? And after a long day's work, out of, like, perhaps I'm making this up, but let's just say 100 red blood cells. 100 red blood cells go to work all day, and at the end of the day, the product of their work has resulted in the creation of probably about 50 white blood cells. So that's a good thing. That's a great thing. That's what we want our blood cells to do. Though if we have a breach, if our immune system has been compromised, if we have been touched by something that is deficient or malnourished, or expected to be deficient and or malnourished, then our body takes on a preconsumptuous notion that it will be deficient and or malnourished soon, you know, and as a byproduct of the breach. So that in turn makes our immune system deficient. Usually over time, but it doesn't have to happen over time because it happens on contact. It's programmed. It's programmed to be deficient. It's programmed because it was contacted by a deficiency, and now it is expected to, the immune system is expected to produce a lack or shortage of the things that it would need. That's what a virus could do. That's what a pathogen could do to our bodies. In other words, it's called a virus. So you have a pathogen, and then you have, in other words, a virus. Now let's go back up here to the word human. So human, if we break this up, is HU, and then there's MAN. See, man, I'm going to look up the word man. The word man means an adult male human being or a human being of either sex. It means, in other words, it's a person. Okay, that's what human means. I mean, not human, excuse me, that's what man means. But hue refers to probably the color of the person, probably the see, H is for hydrogen, H is for helium, H is for head. So underneath the head there's the face. So you got H for head, U for under, and under the head. So you go backwards, UH. Head, under head is color of the head, or the color of the face, or the characteristic of the face, or the gender of the face, whether it's male or female. So I got color, and then I also have gender. I'll put gender, whether it's male or female. So the HU determines the color, the skin complexion, perhaps, maybe even contour, the structure, you know, whether it's more masculine or less masculine, or more feminine or less feminine, or more hairy or less hairy. That's determined in HU. Color, gender, and characteristics. And under that, you know, that's all under the head. That's all under the head. So I have human as being hue and man being of either sex, or as a person, generally stating. And then hue being the color or the gender, be it male or female, and its characteristics. Right? Now the immunodeficiency, it says I'm immune, meaning, in other words, I am municable. So municable, I have to look this up again too. Municable, what does municable means? See, municable, remember, you know the word mute. Mute means refraining from speech or temporarily speechless. It also says it means of a person's lacking the faculty of speech. So that's what mute means. To be mute is to lack is to lack the faculty of speech, meaning they don't have the components that they would need to facilitate conversation by way of speech. Now, mune, I looked up municable. It says municipal. And that's, I wouldn't have come to that word easily, but that's actually really cool because it separates it. It has MU and then period NIC and then period I and then period PAL. And the definition says it's relating to a city or town or its governing body. Relating to a city or town or its governing body. So the thing about this here is when I go back up here and it says I'm mune, right? It means it's not a municipal, but it's the prefix. It's the prefix to a participle. See, I'm looking at this word here, and there's mune, and then there's IC, and then there's IC, and then there's I, and then there's PAL. And then, so mune is for Munich or municable, meaning I think mune just means let me look at this again. Municable, and then IC is for information. I'm just making up something here. Information contain. Information and contain. I for information, C for contain. And then I for initiate. And then PAL for pal or buddy, in other words. Pal or buddy. So the definition of a pal could actually be something other. It says a friend. It says spend time with a friend. But it also says brother mate based upon Sanskrit brother. And then it says Scrabble points P3A1L1. If I look at this, so if I go from A to Z and go to P, P1 will be the first word that represents P. So probably person. So that will be P1. The second P word could be something like private. That'll be P2. The third P word could be party. So that'll be P3. So you would go from A to P and then into P 3 times, and you'll get those 3 distinctions of the letter P with those 3 different words. A1, and the first word could probably be apple. I think I have it in my mind somewhere that is apple. And then the other one is L1. And in L1, I'm thinking something like lottery shit right now, based upon what I came up with, lottery. So that's L1. It has Scrabble points 5. That's probably if somebody played the game or nothing. But I just, wanted to go through it real quick because it was there. But so let me see. So that's mute. And then let me type in this real quick because I haven't actually figured out what it means, if it means anything. So mune, I looked up mune real quick. Mune, in other words, it means modal, and that's pretty cool. So mune means to be modal, and it says variant form of must. So mune means must. In other words, must be modal. Let's look up what modal is. Modal definition is relating to mode or form as opposed to substance, relating to a mode occurring most frequently in a sample or population. This is awesome, man. So let's look at this. All right. Now, municipal or municipal, it's really municipal. I pronounced it wrong. I said municipal because of the way I separated it. I have, let's go back to the top. It says I'm mune, and then I have in parentheses, I am municipal. And then this means that you could communicate with someone or something at the level of a municipal apparatus. And it's there's a such thing as a person being mute, and on the other side of being mute is a person who is municipal. So you're municipal.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
And that means that you're modal. That you're able you're an able person by way of having a modality, an operable modality that says you can work. Now, down here, let's finish doing this here. So there's it basically it means that the modality must work, and it must be relating to a mode or form of a mode formed as opposed to substance. It says this will see faster journey times and greater frequency, stimulating accelerated modal shift from the car to the bus. So the modality here, what this means is to see a faster journey times and greater frequency. It's a general statement. It has two expectations in the statement: faster journey times and greater frequency, right? If you look at these separately, they're going to be involving two different things completely. Stimulating accelerated modal shift from the car to the bus. So the journey times, faster journey times, and greater frequency is to stimulate an accelerated modal shift from the car to the bus. The modality is expected to be accelerated, but it's expected to be stimulated from the words greater frequency and the words faster journey times from the car to the bus, because a car is one way of traveling, one mode of traveling, and the bus is another mode of traveling. Faster journey times, car and the bus. Greater frequency, probably the bus. Car, probably how often a car ride past, greater frequency or something, right? Stimulating an accelerated modal shift. So a traffic light, whether one works at the capacity another one does, and how jammed the traffic gets from one place to another, and or how fluent the traffic flows, how fast or how slow, and or at what rate this happens, in which it could stimulate the modality in one's brain associate frequencies with it, or rates with it, or speeds, or any of that kind of thing. That's registered in our brain. And then so I go down here, and it says relating to a mode occurring most frequently, in a sample or population. Patients age from 2 days to 23 months. Mode out age group 0 to 3 months. So it says relating to a mode, okay. When it says relating to a mode, it means like something. So like from 0 to 100, you could feel like you're at 100. That means you're feeling your best. You're feeling the best that you could feel. I mean, you could probably go up to like 1,000 or 2,000 or something like that, or maybe 10,000, make it even. It should be an even number. So you could take it up to like 10,000. You could say, hey, I feel like out of 1 to 100, I mean 0 to 100, I feel like I'm 10,000. That's amazing for a person to feel that good. So so relating to a mode, but I'm gonna go back down to 100 because 10,000 is out the park with it. So a mode. So a mode would be 100. A mode of 100, occurring most frequently in a sample or a population. Now, how often do you meet or talk to a person that says from 0 to 10 or from 0 to 100 that they're feeling their best at 100 and or 10? Usually not often. And the reason why is because when a person wakes up and starts their day, that 10 is usually, let's just think about it this way. That 10 is probably reached when you're at the peak of your sleep. When your body has had a chance to revitalize itself and heal and rest and work, through all that it does. And when you wake up, it starts depleting itself. It starts depleting its reserves. So all the minerals, all the the nutrients and things that it has saved and stored up for the day ahead, and or days ahead, let's just say if you got like a sickness or something like that, then you're probably working twice as hard or 3 times as hard or however many times as hard to generate stasis. Stasis, in other words, a balanced status of information in the cystic area of your body, meaning in your blood cells, in your immune system. S, but sometimes IC. And that's pretty cool because this says information contained, and I was just coming up to this. So information contained could also be for information. So and instead of saying blood cells, like blood cells or blood cells, and they have information in them, right? But you could call them information. So it's information, and then there's cell, information cell. And then the I, in other words, is initiate. But then I think someone just said inflammatory. But the crazy part about it is, now I'm gonna write that on here, but it's not so I can inflame anything, right? Because really, inflammatory, it describes something. It describes something as inflamed, but not just inflamed, but it describes something as inflaming something that's inflamed. It could take something from not inflamed to inflamed, and then to go beyond that means it's being inflammatory. So you really have to write inflame and then inflammatory, and then before inflame you got to write in. Because in sometimes mean inside, and it sometimes mean not, meaning outside or opposed to inside or opposite. So That's what the municipal does. See, a person having the modality or being municable means that at its basis, and I mean at its most let's just say like layman's terms, like the basics means that a person has to be modal. They have to be modal. It's a must. They have to be modal, and they have to work at the level of a municipal within their bodies. And that's so you can see inside, outside, you could see in front of you, you can see in back of you, you can see as above, so below. You can see positive, you can see negative. You know, those are all the aspects of something that exist for something else as opposed to it or because of it. Whether it's causal or reactiony, I mean, not reactiony, excuse me, I don't know where that came from, but as causal or as a reaction to something or something else. So, municipal, a variant form of must. Municipal, relating to a city or town or its governing body. Mute, of a person lacking the faculty of speech. And then immunodeficiency. So, and then pal or buddy is like a friend. Buddy is like buddy, friend. But you know what I was thinking pal is? Pile is like pile. Like pile of something. Pile of substance. So pile of papers, excuse me. Pile of papers. So like let's just say a pal is a person, right? But it consists of something. So it exists as being the difference between meeting someone who's a stranger and or meeting someone whom you have communicated with over a period of time and established something like good feelings for them. In other words, enough to call them a friend or a buddy or a pal, right? So, in other words, you can have pile. You can have a pile of paperwork with notes, and there's a whole bunch of good notes. Complimentary notes. Examples of times where you've laughed with someone. Examples of moments that you may recall smiling, as opposed to crying or frowning or being upset with the person. In other words, making this person a buddy, a friend, and a pal, right? But you'll have a pile of information that substantiates how good that person is, meaning being able to sustain itself as described, and or as describing a person or character of a person as a buddy, a friend, and or a pal. So then we come down here. Now that was long, sorry. But I think I covered everything actually. So then don't forget we're talking about HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. Then we come down here, we have pathogen, and then we got virus. So pathogen means a bacterium, a virus, or other microorganism that can cause a disease. So that's a pathogen. And then we're going to type in virus. And virus means an infective agent that typically consists of a nucleic acid molecule and a protein coat, is too small to be seen by light microscopy, and is able to multiply only within the living cell of a host. That's a virus. So let me write this here. Virus here, and then pathogen here. Pathogen here, And then the second definition here, it says a piece of code that is capable of copying itself and typically has a detrimental effect, such as corrupting the system or destroying data. That's what viruses do. So, okay. A pathogen, a bacterium, virus, or other microorganism that can cause a disease. So, from the way I'm looking at it, is see, because pathogen came up in my mind, but virus is what I was thinking about already. So what's interesting here is you would have to have, well, it seems to me is you would have to have both. You would have to have a pathogen and you would have to have a virus. See, they exist for the other, and together they create something like a let's just say if you have pathogen as one and virus as two, they'll be stacked. So they'll be linked together. And if you have any more things, you know, they'll all be stacked up there and it'll look like it's a stable system structure, but it's not a stable system structure as it pertains to being in our bodies. This is something that looks strong, and if it looks strong, it probably is. But the point is, it's made to deplete and destroy the components of our nutrition spectrum in our bodies. And to fight it, we would need something so strong, it will have to break down these components and it will have to distribute them throughout our body in a way in which that does not hurt or kill it in any way. And then we also probably could do something like we could filter it. We could filter the things, the components of the pathogens or the virus. And with the things that we don't use in our body, we can discard it. But the things that we'll need or the things that we can build, it's almost like our body will get an alert at some point after doing all this chemistry and stuff. Our body will get an alert after a while, and it will begin to say, we got enough of something here to create something somewhere else. Meaning we could actually invent something. We could invent something for the benefit of something else. But mostly ourselves, you know. And that's awesome. That's how our bodies work. That's the way we need to be thinking about things, really. So a bacterium. Now a bacterium, Erium, Erium. ERI is like area, but it's area inside of something. A UM means under the matter. M under, U for under, M for matter or mass. So there's a bact in the erium of something. And it says it's an A. So it's talking about one bact in the erium of something, right? Now the next word is virus. See, virus could be spelled VIRI. It could be called viri, and it'll be a single virus. But it's called virus because it's usually compound. It's usually more than one. And it has microorganism or other microorganism that can cause disease. Microorganism. Micro means really small, super small. Organism is it's a body of life that sustains itself, but not by itself in a sense where if it is if it's imparted in our body, it means that it's a system structure of its own, but it has coding within it that suggests what it's supposed to do there. Otherwise, it would not be useful inside of our bodies. See, we don't actually have microorganisms inside of our body outside of our skin cells. See, skin cells are a good and I'm making this up, but it's my mind working on this right now, actually. But skin cells are like, well, let me see. Skin cells, are they microorganisms, or are they just see? I don't if there's not enough science here that will describe it as that, then it won't come up. I'll just be thinking this in my mind, and I probably won't be able to find this. So skin cells are basic body building blocks of the skin, large complex organ forms, and protect barrier between the insides and external environment. The most common skin cell types are keratinocyte, whose primary function is to form a tough waterproof layer against UV radiation, harmful chemicals, and infectious agents. However, the skin also contains highly specialized cells with important immunological, photoprotective, and sensory functions. The term skin cell, therefore, may refer to any of the four major types of cells found in the epidermis of the outer layer of the skin. Now, I'm going to look up microorganism real quick. Microorganisms inside the body. So human microbiome, see, that's they start describing it as something different, because if it doesn't exist in our body as something like a cell, or something, then it's not a microorganism, you know. So microbiota that reside on or within human tissues and biofluids, along with the corresponding anatomical sites in which they reside, including the skin, mammary glands, seminal fluids, uterus, ovarian follicles, lungs, saliva, oral mucosa, conjunctiva, biliary tract, and gastrointestinal tract. Types of human microbiota include bacteria, archaea, fungi, protists, and viruses. Though microanimals can also live on the human body, and they are typically excluded from this definition. In the context of genomics, the term human microbiome is sometimes used to refer to the collective genomes of resident microorganisms. However, the term human metagenome has the same meaning. The human body hosts many microorganisms with approximately the same order of magnitude of non human cells as human cells. See, this is where it gets good. It has the same order of magnitude of non human cells as human cells. Now, it says approximately the same order of magnitude. Order of magnitude, I'm thinking, is like the order of importance. Uh, like with the depth and whatnot. So this says Goodreads, but I think I want to change it to science. So I just changed it to science. Okay, and then it says some microorganisms that humans host are commensal. And commensal means is a long-term biological interaction, symbiosis, in which members of one species gain benefit while those of other species neither benefit nor are harmed. Okay, meaning they coexist without harming humans, and others have a mutualistic relationship with their human hosts. Conversely, some non-pathogenic microorganisms can harm human hosts via the metabolites they produce. And I don't want to say this word, and this is going to take me to a whole different place. But it says certain microorganisms perform tasks that are known to be useful to human hosts, but the role of most of them is not well understood. Well, let's move on here. So I wanted to get an example of one. So it says study. The problem of elucidating the human microbiome is essentially identifying the members of a microbial community, which includes bacteria, eukaryotes, and viruses. This is done primarily using deoxyribonucleic acid (parentheses DNA), in parentheses, base studies through ribonucleic acid, RNA, protein, and metabolite-based studies are also performed. DNA-based microbiome studies typically can be categorized as either targeted amplicon studies or more recently shotgun metagenomic studies. The former focuses on specific known markers, genes, and is primarily informative taxonomically, while the latter is an entire metagenomic approach, which can also be used to study the functional potential of the community. So that's basically what this is. So deoxyribonucleic acid is like a community, and it's comprised of a whole bunch of different types of acids and stuff. So is ribonucleic acid. Okay, and most viruses and other things are said, like bacteria, eukaryotes, and viruses. These are communities. These are names that describes communities, and there's a bunch of different things within it. So it's almost mute. It's almost like it's almost something that can be said to be communicable, but it's not going to be completely true, because a virus is created to make us deficient. It means that it's mute. It means that it's mute, and it has the power to be transmutable, meaning it could make us mute if we weren't mute. It could make us deficient if we weren't deficient. So the idea here, let me go back to my notes. The idea here is that let me see. I'm gonna come back down here real quick. So HIV could mean H for head, H for heart, H for house, H for hand, H for what else? H for heat, H for whole. What else? Some words that start with H. What are some words that begin with the letter H? He, had or ham or here, here, head. I think I got head already. Habit, habitat. Habitat is a great word. Habitat. See, actually, that's the best word because it's better than house. Because I was thinking of house and whatnot. And I know what I was thinking about when I was thinking this, but habitat is much better when you're talking about cultures and when you're talking about, behaviors and stuff like that. And this is a good word too. This says habitalization, but I think it's habitalization. So habitalization. I get what it says, but it sounds strange. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Let me see.
Habilitation.
Habilitation. Okay. Habilitation is the act or process of becoming fit or of making fit for a particular purpose. A program of teaching basic living skills to someone with a disability, as in a group home. That's pretty interesting, actually. Let me close this. Habitalization. Habituation. Yeah, okay, I'm saying that right. Um, Words. There you are, right there. Okay, so I'll close this. What else? That's it. So that's not too many words. Okay. So and mind you, they didn't even have heart. They didn't have house. They didn't have hand. They didn't have feet. They didn't have hole. They had here habitat, um, habituation, and they might have had head. I don't think they had head though either. And here I didn't even spell it right. So that's H. And then I'm gonna do some I words. So information, inside, in, let's see, um, innate. I think two N's for that one. Words that begin with the letter I. Instrument, instrumentation, instrumentation, interchangeable. See that's not really. I mean, well, I'll put it on here, but it's see interchangeable is not really a word. Enter is one thing, and then changeable is another. It's three words. It's able, change, without the e, and then it's enter. But an I and not an E N T E R, I N T E R. So intervention, intervention. That's a good word. Intervention. Oh, into is a good word. Into. Instead is a good word. Instead. Intelligence. Intelligence is a good word. International is a good word. International. Infrastructure is a good word. Infrastructure. Identification is a good word. Identity. Interpretive. Interpret is a good word. Interpret. Indiscriminate. All right, I'll put that on here. Indiscriminate. These are a lot. This is a lot. Inconsiderate. Inconsiderate. Irreconcilable. Irreconcilable. Interdependent. think I got indiscriminate, don't I? Irreproachable. Irreproachable. Intercommunity. 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 Intentionality. Intentionality. Insignificant. Insignificant. Incomprehensible. That's a good word. Incomprehensible. Intermittently. Institution. Intermittently. Wait, what did it say? Intermittently, and it has dang, where'd that word go? Oh shit. Interoperative. Insubordinate. Intermolecular. Insufficient. Insoluble. Interoperative. Instant. Or instant. Or instance. Intelligential. 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 That's a good word too. Intelligential. Intelligential. Give me a moment. I'm just writing some words down that begin with the letter I, and I'm seeing some really good words here, and I'm coming across these words that are actually, like, food for my brain, because my brain haven't read these words, some of these words before. Investigative. Irresponsible. Impossible. Imposter. Impotent. Individual. Inspirational. Wow. Improvisation. improvisation, indescribable, indescribable, intracerebral, intracerebral, immaterial, immaterial, indistinctive, introduction. I think I had to just say I was taking a detour a little bit because even though some of these words might seem like they're leading to the other, like because I read them down here like this and my eyes moving, so it's not gonna catch them all. Even though I probably read over them, I didn't say them out loud, and so it might seem like some of these words